Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is week 4 of the Practical Joy Book Club. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, you know what? I really need to ask these people who's coming today if they will please leave a review for Practical Joy on Amazon. That is really where most of my people buy books these days, is on Amazon. So I've dropped the link for you in the chat. If you can open it and if you can find it in your heart to leave a review, you can write about the book club, you can write about the book, you can write about how it made you think about joy in a different way. I would be so grateful for you. Okay? So I just want to say that off the top of the hour. It did wake me up some ungodly hour. I was like, thank you, Spirit. Thank you for reminding me I should ask for book reviews. Okay, so this week is all about rebuilding creative access. Oh my gosh, don't you know your creativity comes from your joy and vice versa? All right, and so we will have another signature activity this week. But the core question we're really going to be thinking about this week is, what do I want permission to explore without needing it to become useful, profitable, responsible, uh, impactful, all the fulls, right? Like, can I just create for myself, for crying out loud, right? Sometimes I think as business owners, we get a little wonky about that, to be quite honest. If you're new here today, you're not behind, just start where you want to start. I'm going to start with us, okay? Last week, you all made a summer joy menu, and we asked what would make this season feel more alive, more grounded, and more like mine. And what I loved personally was how specific the conversation came around little joys, which is why I called the book Practical Joy, right? We weren't talking about big joys or abstract joys. I heard things like, I want to go for a morning walk. I want to paint outside. I'd love to go swimming. I love bubble baths, writing, time with people, shutting down my computer at 5 p.m. would bring me so much joy. Sitting outside and doing nothing but looking at the clouds or listening to the birds, following my curiosity. And so this to me is why I wrote the book. The heart of what we uncovered last week is really why I wrote the book, because I think that sometimes as humans, we can get so wrapped up in the next thing, the next promotion, the next vacation, the next program launch, the next whatever, right? That we forget joy is an inside job and it can happen inside our daily lives. All right. So that was the number one reason I wrote this book. Okay. And then we did something else. And we're going to kind of check in on this because it was part of your homework. All right. We labeled each of these things on our menu with an E. This could be really easy for me to do this week. Or an F. I forgot about this. I forgot that this would bring me joy. Or a P, we labeled if we needed to protect time around it. And I know Matt last week really talked about building protected time around some of the things that were going to require a little more effort or a little more space in the calendar. Okay. So that was interesting because we got to really see what joy is easily available, which joy we have forgotten, and which joy needs to be protected, because without putting that space on the calendar, it's easy to override it, right? And so that brings us into today. And today the question is going to be, how do I give myself creative access again? All right. And so we're going to get started. All right. We're going to get started rebuilding that creative access. I would like to know here in the chat, what is one word or phrase from your summer joy menu that stayed with you this past week? What is something that stayed with you with your summer joy menu? It could be something you did. It could be something you wanted to do, but you didn't do it. It's okay. Not going to scold you. Something that surprised you. Something you realize that you miss. What has stayed with you since creating that summer joy menu last week. And if anyone would like to speak, I'd love to hear your very human voice today. You can raise your hand. We will call on you. All right, Valerie, let's start with you.
One of the things that I put down, and it was something like I'm saying, well, yeah, I kind of sort of do this, but I didn't do it with full intention, okay? And that is being fully present when I'm enjoying my cup of coffee in the morning with my husband. I would have it every morning, but he'd say, "You're not with me. You're somewhere else." Okay. So I really, I needed to say, okay, no, I'm going to sit here and I'm not going to be planning my day or looking at my phone or something like this. And so I had put that down as one of those joys. And I think I actually labeled it, as, E,
Yeah.
but it was interesting how hard it was.
Isn't that funny? How many of you can relate to that? We can have the best intentions of being fully present with our spouse, with our child, with whatever, but then all of a sudden our mind is off, or the phone pings and we pick it up, or oh my God, I forgot to email that client. Hold, push the pause on Netflix, please. Run to my computer and send an email, right? Valerie, that's real. That's
Right.
really,
And
really
what
real.
you said this morning just added a little bit to it. And that was I'm feeling like, okay, so I'm sitting here, we're having this conversation. Okay, what's the purpose of this conversation? I'm going,
Yeah, what's
who
the purpose?
cares? Like
Who
it's,
cares?
I know. I just, it was just so funny when you said that. And I'm like, oh yeah, that part too.
Okay, beautiful. Catherine, I see a comment from you. Can you talk today? How did your summer joy menu stick with you?
I had such fun doing it because I thought, I haven't stopped working by 5 or 6 o'clock in a very long time, right? And I'm like, okay, but I'm getting sick of this. And how about having a life, right? So like, okay. And I did it so easily, 5 out of 6 days. I'm like, all right, I'm creating this habit and I'm doing it. I know,
Good
right?
job, Catherine. You even tracked it. I'm
Yeah,
impressed. That's
yeah.
good.
I'm
That's
still
really good.
tracking it.
Okay, good. Good. Another part of this, like I do some workshops, not the book club. I couldn't fit it all in, but I have built a joy tracker for one of the workshops that I give. And it's literally like that. Like if we say something is important to us, and it could or could not be, I'm going to give a very concrete example. There are 5 things that I think are very important to me to be the most joyful person that I can be, right? And I put them on a little chart. In a minute, when you guys are doing some work, I'll go get it because I want to show it to you. And it's basically a habit tracker. I call it my joy tracker. All right. It's art, exploring, yoga or stretching, movement that would be outside of yoga or stretching. So walking, I don't run anymore. Walking, cycling, and then there's one other thing on there. I can't remember. I looked at it because I started tracking last week after our discussion. This week, I mean, after 1 week, I only did art one time in 7 days, even though I keep telling myself it brings me joy. Now, there's something there. And for me, I know what it is. I still have a lot of like mental chatter around I could be doing other productive things. I have more to do than art, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to pull out my supplies. It's too hard. I can't think of a project. I mean, these are all the things I struggle with in my art practice, right? And so when we track it, I think it's interesting because the tracking won't lie. Your brain might lie to you sometimes, but the data won't lie. And then you can make a different choice. This wasn't so I could beat myself up over not doing art. I already know I'm not doing art. Maybe I just need to say it's not important right now. Like I create more art in the winter when I'm not outside all the time, right? Like whatever it is, now I have a reason to get to the bottom of it because I've tracked it. So Catherine, thank you. Thank you for tracking your joy.
Well, and the other thing that is so useful to about that when you're talking about, what happens in your brain when you get to say, yes, I kept my word to myself, I did it, and that's a dopamine hit. Check, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
And for many of us, and that is true. And I think the opposite is true too. We just recorded a podcast with Michelle, who's here on the call, and it was about shame. And I think the opposite can happen too. Like, I could have looked at that thing this morning and been like, oh my God, I did it again. I said I wanted to create art and it's joyful. And here I am. And I only did it once out of 7 days, blah, blah, blah. Right. I have had to work on that piece too. And so, as we always say, joy can live among the shame, joy can live among the grief and the fear and all the things, right?
Yeah.
We have space for all of that,
Yeah.
right? So that's very, very good. Okay, cool. Anyone else want to reflect on their joy menu for the week? What stayed with you? Did you do the thing? Did you override the thing? Did you forget about the list? I mean, it's all good. All of it's good. Michelle?
Well, I put down here, swim every morning in the lake. We were in a heat wave 2 weeks ago or 1 week ago, and swimming in the lake was gorgeous. And I went the other day and it was freezing. It was E on my list. It seemed like it was going to be an easy everyday treat. And suddenly it's freezing. And it's caused me a lot of like, I don't know now about this swimming in the lake. Either I need a wetsuit or I need a warmer pool. I'm not sure. So it's like it doesn't it needs it needs updating.
Yeah. And that's important. The circumstances changed, right? My friend and I went to the spa on Saturday, and she's like, I dare you to get into the cold plunge pool. And I was like, I am going to be 50 in April. I have never found joy in cold water. I am not getting in a cold plunge pool. I will get in the hottest pools and I will sit there, but I will not. So she got in the cold plunge pool. And then she said, I dare you to get into it. So I put my feet in because I was like, maybe this isn't as bad as I thought it was. It was horrible. I had cramps in my feet and I hated it. And I was like, I'm out of here. I'm not doing this. So sometimes you just have to give yourself permission to throw out the things you thought might be joyful in the moment and go with the flow and go somewhere else. So I love that. I love that. Kasten, thank you for the question. I did do other joyful things. I had a very, very joyful week, very full of joy, right? And so that's also how I know that it's okay if I didn't get to the art. It's absolutely okay. Okay? For me, it's okay. All right. In a moment, we're going to get into breakout groups. Matt is making the groups. You're going to have 6 minutes, whether you have 2 people in the group or 3 people in the group, doesn't matter. I gave that creative liberty to Matt. But while Matt's getting the groups ready, and we're going to give you the directions in just a minute, I want to share something really exciting with you all that's happening. Okay? Before we move into further discussion, we have been having such rich discussions in this container, if you will, in this book club around business, creativity, values, and what is changing. And so today we are actually opening applications for our Joy Fueled Business Mentorship Program. Okay, we're publicly opening them next week, but today we wanted to tell you all about it. So this is our 12-month mentorship program for established business owners whose work and message and offers and leadership are all evolving. And they want experienced strategic support as they shape the next era of who they're becoming and the work that they're doing. Okay. And some of the things that come up in this room are the exact things and the very philosophy of what we believe here of running a joy-fueled business, right? When your business is working, but it doesn't feel fulfilling anymore, it's okay. You don't have to close the whole thing down or burn it down. All right. We can help you have more of that joy around that business to reflect who you are, who you have become, what your work has become. We also know that we attract a lot of people who are very people, right? We're people, we're relationship people. the flip side of that is if you've built a business and it's solely been on referrals, or a lot of your business comes from referrals, it can be a very unjoyful place to be when the referrals quit referring or they quit showing up in your business, right? And so we really work on what does it take for messaging, marketing, and sales to build a business outside of referrals. Of course, we love referrals, but they're not the best thing to rely on in the business. Okay. So whether you're rethinking your offers, your leadership, your role, your body of work, your business model, how you want to be visible, if the mentorship speaks to you, I will drop the link in the chat. If it doesn't speak to you, it's okay. But we do want you to know that the mentorship applications are open. And today we're going to come back to the work at hand, which is the joy work, which is what I infuse the entire life and programming with. This step matters. Okay, this step matters. All right, we are going into breakouts. Rooms of 3. Okay. Matt, did we do 3 or 2?
Well, it may be 2.
Okay, that's fine. We're going to go into rooms of 2. If you're by yourself, come back. We want you to come back. All right.
I can make it 3. It'll be approximately 3. Someone won't. But I'm ready to go when you are.
Okay. So here's what we're doing in the room today. Remember, this is a noticing room. You're going to notice. Okay. You're going to notice in your room. Each person gets about 2 minutes. 2 people, you get 3 minutes. And we're going to answer in the rooms these 3 questions.
Leave Amy in the waiting room, please. Thank you.
I'm going to put them in the chat. Okay. What did you notice from your Summer Joy menu last week? If you already feel like you're over that question, you don't have to answer it. If you weren't here, it's okay. What kind of joy or creativity feels like it wants more access from you right now? And where do you feel yourself wanting, craving, or longing for permission? Giving yourself permission. Permission to write, permission to rest, permission to make it messy, permission to explore an idea without monetizing it. That's my biggest hurdle, I swear to you all. Okay? So we're going to send you out into breakout rooms. You have 6 minutes. And take notes, keep the time, and we'll come back and do a whole group harvest again and see what we discovered. All right, Matt, zoom them out.
Okay, it's you and me. I'm already fired as co-host, so you won't ever see me again because I didn't even look at the clock. I was just busy doing other stuff, so I hope it was fun.
I gave Matt permission to just let it fucking go, y'all. Just let it go. Like, seriously, it's okay. It's way okay. You're welcome. All right, welcome back, everyone. We'd love to hear from a few of you today from your room. So if you haven't spoken yet, not your room, like I just had a vision of my parents say, go to your room. From your room, we want to hear from you about your joy. What did you hear in the group about permission? Tobin, from your room, please.
Yeah, from our room, not me. I didn't do the homework. It was about actually permission to go after the shiny objects. I have all these guardrails for myself to not, and I loved in the room hearing the concept of actually looking at all the shiny objects and being given permission and joy to just pursue it. And if it's fulfilling, finish it. And if it doesn't, then stop it, but not just ignoring it for the sake of I'm in this all optimized thing. So that was a beautiful takeaway I'm taking for today, and I appreciate it.
What's some shiny object in your awareness or on your
mine?
list? Yeah.
I have everything's a shiny object to my squirrel brain, but I call them golden acorns, and golden acorns have no value to my squirrel brain. So I'm purposely not going after them because my squirrel brain can't consume no nutritional value to the golden acorn, and squirrels don't deal in currency. So I'm kind of trying to blinders on. Because also acorn, the whole point of squirrels and acorns is to grow new trees, and golden acorns don't grow new trees either. So I've ignored the
I
shiny,
understand,
knowing,
but listen,
yeah,
a client sent me this. This is my magic wand, a stick
okay,
wrapped in gold paper. It matches your golden acorn. Okay?
okay, yes.
What's one golden acorn you're going to just pursue?
That I'm going to pursue making more. I love making joy posts, and I haven't been doing those because I'm so focused on business. I'm actually just going to put more joy into the world, be the joy booster.
Woohoo! The joy
That's it.
booster. I love it. I love it. Good job.
Daily
Good
happiness
job.
boosters coming your way. Thank you.
Okay, everyone follow him for that. So we need more of that. All right, love that. Let's see. Liz, were you in Tobin's room? Okay, Liz, what did your room have to say about permission?
That's a really good question. My brain just went blank because I got so excited about golden acorn.
You're a squirrel.
I
Hello.
give myself permission to just let go of things that I can't remember
Good. Give yourself
and not
permission.
feel too darn guilty about it. Oh, there's the golden acorns.
Look at that. Golden acorns for everyone, y'all. It's okay. If we're all a little squirrely, we all get the golden acorns. All right, Liz, moment of truth. Did your room even talk about permission about anything?
We did. We both did.
Okay. Okay. Who was your partner? We need to call him up to
My
like help.
partner was Catherine.
Oh, Catherine, please help your partner.
Catherine, come to my rescue.
We had a great conversation. It was fun to have the opportunity to talk with you, Liz. What Liz was talking about is giving herself the time to grieve in relation to the passing of her mom. And when that comes around, to allow it, to give herself the time to do that, right? And I talked about consistency for me is reaching out more consistently in the DMs that you had recommended in that workshop, right? About being consistent in the DMs. I do so well face to face that then I get on my computer and it's just like, ugh. Right?
Yeah.
But there's still value there. So that's where I'm giving myself permission to get on the stick and get moving.
All right. Golden sticks and golden acorns and squirrely squirrels. I'm hearing it. Sarah Pitts, what did your room say about permission today?
Well, we were both British, which is nice. So we kind of like, yeah, we don't really look for permission, but there was kind of the flip side of that you mentioned before about shame. So an example is I've not been exercising a great deal recently. I had a plan that I was going to follow, and it's like, actually, I don't really have time for that at the moment because I'm in the middle of like a delivering phase. So things have been crazy busy for me. And rather than saying, well, that's not good enough, I ought to try and squeeze this in, I'm like, I'm just going to wait until it feels joyful again. And I have the time to give it the space it needs. So, yeah, I think it was more a recognition that we are kind of our own worst critics most of the time.
Yes.
So
yes.
I suppose in a way, that's kind of giving myself permission not to do that.
Exactly. Isn't that funny? We get to give ourselves permission to have permission to not be the thing we think we should be. That's good. Okay. This is why the permission conversation matters. It matters around shame. It matters around fear. It matters around joy. Of course, we're all here because of the book, Practical Joy. But here's what I want you all to realize. Most people do not need more ideas for what would bring them joy. Most of you do not. You can make that list, okay? You have the ideas, you have the interests, you have desires and sparks of curiosity. But where it becomes tricky is the sparks that get interrogated. Will this become content? Should I make money on this? Will this help the business? Will it even be good? That's my problem with the art. honestly. Like, I just want masterpieces. And I have like a freaking sketchbook, for crying out loud. I mean, it's called a sketchbook, so you can sketch in it. It's not a masterpiece book, right? Will it be consistent with my brand? What will people think about me if I do start being the joy prompter or whatever Tobin just called himself, right? So this is where the creative part of us a lot of times goes very quiet, because we're interrogating every idea and we're like needing to pass it through that little itty bitty shoot committee in our brain before it's allowed to actually take root and it's allowed to breathe. And so today we're going to interrupt that, because it is very common. It's a very common thing that happens to all of us. Okay. And so what we're going to do is we're going to sort of have a creative reset today. And joy is not only something that we need to feel, joy is the very place that we create from. It is very hard to create if you are not in joy, right? We've all been in grieving. Can't really create from there. Not the space of creation, at least probably not joyful or productive creation. All right. I have been in a space of grieving and anger where I am creating maybe the art and I'm scratching it. I got the red out and I'm like doing the things to like move the grief and the anger through onto the paper, get it out of the body. Great. It is a creation of itself, but I'm talking about this life force creation, this feeling of aliveness. Okay. And so if we have been up until this point creating from pressure or expectation or performance or responsibility or being useful, we may need to rebuild that pathway back to creative play and creative curiosity. Okay. And this is why I am very, very passionate about passion projects. And passion projects are those projects we just go for, and we're not attaching it to anything. Will it bring money? Will people sign up? Will it, have an effect on the brand? They're just a pathway back to curiosity and a place to create without knowing an outcome or demanding an outcome. Okay. And so if you've ever been one of these people like me, Tobin, Matt, and probably everyone else on this call, where you have 15 billion ideas in your brain at any one time, all right, a lot of us, because we're business owners, and I catch myself doing this, Shannon has a passion project. I go do the passion project. My brain says, how can I monetize that? I recognize the pattern now. And I come back and I say, this is not for monetizing. And I even sometimes say, this is not even for sharing. I was in my kitchen all day yesterday creating so joyfully. And I was like, you know what? I don't even have to share about this. This is for me. This is just for me, right? And so your passion projects, which we're going to talk about today, they don't need to become content or part of your brand or a money-making plan. They don't even have to freaking be good. It doesn't matter. They're just for you to sink in to something you're giving yourself permission to explore. Okay, where your aliveness gets to move through you again. And where if it does come in your business at some point, come through, usually it doesn't separate itself from the business. If it wants to come through to the business, those are some places to look where it could be, where could we make this thing more recognizable or more resonant or more human, using your creative instincts within the business. But that is not where we're starting from today. Okay, so we're really going to start and ask ourselves, what passion project do I want to give myself permission to do just for myself? Okay, and I've worked on a lot of people with this, and if the word project freaks you out, switch it for something else. Passion item, passion idea. Okay, it doesn't have to be a full-blown project. All right. So I want you to take a moment and I want you to think in the good passion play. I love that, Darlene. Okay. I want you to really ask yourself, if I could just do passion play or a passion project 10 minutes a day over the next week, what would I give myself permission to create? Just for myself. 10 minutes a day. When you have an answer, put it in the chat. Passion project. Maybe you're going to finally pick that recipe you've pinned a million times on Instagram and make it in your kitchen. That's what I did yesterday. I picked 4 recipes. I was like, I'm just going to make these today. I'm going to quit collecting recipes. I'm going to make them today. Right? Ooh, these are fun. These are fun. All right, Sarah, tell us more about your cartoon character passion project.
Okay, I have had cartoon characters in my business for probably about 6 years, and I'm slightly too in love with them. Okay, this is one of them. She is Wreck-It Rose. She is the little devil that sits on your shoulder telling you can't do stuff. She tells you you're not good enough. And on the other side is Kick-Ass Katie, and she's your biggest cheerleader. So doubt and frustration and shame and all that kind of stuff is where Wreck-It Rose is talking to you. And there's actually 8 characters in my business. Those 2 get the most attention, but actually it's Kick-Ass Katie can't do her job without the others as being her team. So I want to spend more time figuring out how I can bring those to the forefront, because cartoons, I'm just a 5-year-old, and they bring me deep joy just thinking about them.
Yes. Well, I have to tell you, Sarah, I'm on your email list, and every time I get an email from you, I think most every time, if not every time, down at the bottom is a little cartoon character sitting there.
That's me.
And I'm like, yes. And I'm like, I want to know more about this cartoon. There's never a speech bubble. There's never like any more context, like who are friends, what's happening. So I think that's a fantastic idea. I think you could have so much fun. Not only what's the relationship of these cartoon characters to each other, but what's the world, world building. That's like a really fun world to live into. Okay, good. That's really fun. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. Valerie, permission to write, working on several books. What's the one, Valerie, maybe this week? I don't know. Maybe you don't even want to choose one for the week. Maybe it's one each day, but 10 minutes a day.
I think I've got several in the works, but I think just the idea of carving out that 10-minute period of saying I'm going to step away from the critical path projects and put a little bit of focus on the ones that are moving forward but aren't on critical path. I guess that's the way I would look at it. So again, there's going to be all those projects that I'm a project manager, as you can tell. But it's like I retired from corporate as the vice president of technology for a big company, so my mind is still like detaching from that and saying, no, I don't have to live my life the way I ran my division. So I think just giving myself fun, 10 minutes just to say, okay, just write 10 minutes of something for this other piece that I want to work on.
Okay, beautiful. And I see a lot of other really interesting things in the chat, right? Dance routine, 10 minutes a day, genealogy research, another person writing a book, mixed media. Like these are the beautiful things that help us. Yes, they're passion projects, but don't you all know, it's like when you read a good fiction book or you're immersed in your mixed media, or you're dancing, it is when your brain can relax. And whether you want it to or not, great business ideas usually come from that space. And you're all here because part of the promise of this book club is the crux of what we're talking about today. How do you tap into that practical joy and rebuild creative access for business to flow again, to feel good again, to feel alive again, right? To get new ideas, to see things in a new way and help people see things in a new way. Because that really, at the end of the day, is what we all do in our businesses, right? And that's what translates into what I believe is really good messaging and marketing. But if we're just sitting and we're thinking, and there's no creative play, no passion projects, no permission to grant ourselves just 10 minutes a day, a lot of times we don't have those ideas that we want for our business. Or they feel, in my case, the same old. And I'm like, I have done that. Like, I want something new. So it's like you have a washcloth, your brain, and you can either squeeze that brain, like when you're wringing out a washcloth while you're trying to think about your business, or you can let it unravel, fill with creative play and passion projects. And then your business brain, Sarah, you like that language? And then your business brain actually can function again in the way that we want it to. Okay, so today's signature activity is actually a rather quick one. I want you to grab a piece of paper. I have a sticky note, and I did that on purpose because I want to give myself a permission slip. We're all going to write a permission slip today. Okay, and I put mine on a sticky note so I can actually stick it to my computer. All right, so grab a piece of paper, your journal, a sticky note, a blank page. And at the top, you're going to write yourself, just like we used to do, come flying home from school. Mom, Dad, I need you to sign the permission slip. We're going on a field trip. All right, so I wrote permission slip for Shannon with 3 hearts. Okay, to remind myself it is mine. Okay, and I want you to think about, or maybe you've already decided, right? I give myself permission to explore blank without it needing to become blank. I'm going to put it here in the chat. That's the sentence you're going to write or doodle or add your little character to, or however you're going to design your personal permission slip. I give myself permission to paint again without it needing to be a masterpiece. I give myself permission to follow my curiosity without needing it to become productive. Whatever that sentence is for you, I want you to write it on just one today, okay? I know you're all overachievers and you could come up with 10, but really our brain just wants one. Okay, just one. One. When you have your sentence, put it in the chat. You can work on designing your permission slip later if you want to add some color to it, or symbols, characters. Matt, will you read a couple of these aloud aloud whatever you see coming in the chat here.
Yeah.
I didn't fire
Uh,
you, Matt. I'm bringing you back.
oh, wow. I get one more try. I give myself permission to make mistakes without too much self-retribution. All right. Valerie, I don't know if you already read this. I was doing three things. I give myself permission to follow my curiosity simply because it brings me joy. Discovery is enough. Curiosity for the sake of the joy of curiosity. I love that. Liz, I give myself permission to write poetry without it needing to be good. And anyone who's written poetry knows that you write a lot of poetry that is not good before anything gets good, usually. I give myself permission, this is Tobin, to explore making happy joy music without needing it to become something polished or finished work. Michelle, I give myself permission to create, dance, flow without needing it to be content. We're not on the content's hamster wheel. It was like unpaid employees of social media platforms, you know. I give myself permission to explore mixed media without needing it to become an art piece. That's from Kirsten. Darlene, I give myself permission to write freely without having it to be related to an audience, an offer, I'm putting your words in your mouth, but strategic, right? Or driven focus. Yeah, different energy. I relate to that big time. Catherine, I give myself permission to write without it having to become a whole chapter.
Oh,
Love
yes,
that.
that's a good one. That's really good.
Well put.
Yeah.
I think I got
Okay,
everybody.
thank you, Matt.
I'm not sure. Yep.
Yeah, thank you. So everyone, if you look at your scavenger hunt, your one passion project, that thing you just said, goes right here. Remember, this scavenger hunt is like our touchstone, our anchor throughout the month. Okay, so for me, I'm going to give myself permission to play in my sketchbook. That's what I'm writing on my scavenger hunt. Play in my sketchbook. One thing. Okay, you can fill your scavenger hunt in, and hopefully you're seeing that we're starting to connect and build this beautiful personalized joy map, custom and curated just to you. Okay. All right, this week you have a tiny joy practice like we have done every week. Does anyone want to guess what it is? What's your tiny joy practice this week? Give your passion project 10 minutes of your attention. Okay, if you want to track it, like Catherine and I ended up doing, you can simply make a little, whatever, give yourself a gold star check mark for each day, and you can report in on that next week. And it's okay if you miss a day. It's okay if you only do one day. All right, but I want you to give yourself permission to follow your passion project and give it 10 minutes of attention. Either 10 minutes for the week, 10 minutes for a day, whatever that means to you. Okay? How many of you are willing to do your tiny joy practice this week and see what comes up with it? Okay, beautiful. So before we close out this call, just want to give you a couple of community updates. All right, I said at the beginning of the call that applications for the Joy Fueled Business Mentorship, they're open to this group only this week. You're welcome to take a look. We have several people actually in this call who are in the mentorship currently. And I want to just be very transparent. The reason we did an application process for cohorts, right? This is our fall cohort, is because when I moved to Spain, it became very important to me that since I live in a place now that requires less money from me each month to live, that I could extend that into my business. And part of that application process is you being able to name the investment that would work for you for the 12-month program. Okay, so that is my commitment, and it has been my commitment, and I feel very aligned and in my joy and in my values to be able to offer that. Okay, the other two things that are coming up that you might want to know about, some of you have done this. We had such a tremendous response in June to our recognition gap intensive that we're offering it again September 16th. It's $47. This is a 3-hour intensive where we look at your message and we figure out where in that message that you're using, that you're leading with, needs to be improved, so you create recognition for your work, demand, and high caliber clients and opportunities to come into your email, your inbox, your introductions, however that is, right? So it's a direct tie from the gaps in your messaging to the very thing you probably want more of, which is more demand for your services and a higher caliber clients, speaking opportunities, podcasts, whatever that means to you, right? People are on different paths. So we really help you look at that language. All right. And then back by popular demand, we have actually, was anyone here in the referrals class that Catherine and I did? Aileen was there. Anyone else? Oh, it's a beautiful class. We had such great feedback that we have another one coming up next Monday. This is a collaboration for business owners who want referrals that feel way less random and way more intentional. And you're actually building referral language, and we're looking at the language you can give to referral partners so they actually introduce people the right way to you and the right kinds of people. Okay, thank you, Aileen. So we actually, if you click through to that page, there are 2 more dates for that. The first one is next Monday, okay, August 31st. And so that's the community updates this week. Thank you for being here. Thank you for letting your joy practice be small and intentional, giving the thing 10 minutes a day, 10 minutes a week. And I will see you all next week for week 5 of the Practical Joy Book Club. Sending you all lots of love. Adios, everyone. Have a beautiful, beautiful week. You are so welcome, Liz. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Darlene. You are brilliant yourself. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. Adios, y'all.